Ever find yourself wishing that software could, not just follow instructions, but really think for itself and just act on its own, like make decisions?
Fascinating, right? That's actually
Right.
what we're diving into today. It's all about AI agents
Yeah.
and how they're totally different from the kind of software, well, most of us are used to.
Exactly. So AI agents, what are they? Think of them as like autonomous systems. They can perceive their surroundings, could be the digital world or even physical space, depends. Then they process all that information. And then the cool part is they take action to reach a goal. And they do all this without us needing to like hold their hand every step of the way.
Right. And it's not like a basic chatbot with those canned responses. This
Right.
is way more advanced. They learn, they adapt, they make decisions, all in real time.
So much more than just following a script.
The research you've done really lays it all out, like from the basic definition all the way to real-world impact,
Yeah.
and even potential changes in the job market.
We're on a mission today to really break down what makes AI agents so different, why this is such a big deal. And we want to make it clear, make it engaging so you come away really understanding this tech and what it means, especially if you're all about that rapid learning.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
So let's get into it. Like, what really sets AI agents apart from, well, the traditional software we've been using forever?
The differences boil down to a few key things. Let's start with autonomy. Traditional software, it operates on those pre-programmed rules that we give it.
Right,
It often needs us to step in to get things done.
right.
AI agents, though, they function much more independently. They make those decisions, they adapt based on the situation, and without us constantly having to, like, micromanage. Think about those complex workflows.
Yeah.
Traditional software, it might handle bits and pieces, but an AI agent can often manage the entire process on its own.
So it's not just doing what it's told, it's figuring things out on the fly.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that kind of ties into adaptability, right? Traditional software is pretty rigid. It does what we programmed it to do. And that's pretty much it, unless we come in and manually update it.
That's a great point. Adaptability is a big difference. AI agents, they use machine learning, which is all about teaching computers to learn from data,
Yeah.
without that step-by-step programming. And then there's natural language processing that lets them understand and actually work with, like human language.
So they can read and write and understand us.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
learn from all their interactions, they get better over time, and then here's the kicker, they can adapt to new situations
Okay.
or like unexpected stuff that pops up, things they weren't even programmed for.
Hmm.
A traditional program, if something unexpected happens, it might just crash. But an AI agent, it can potentially learn from that new info, and then it can modify what it's doing. That's the difference between software that becomes obsolete and software that becomes more valuable over time.
Because it's gathering experience, essentially.
Exactly.
So it's not about following those fixed rules. It's about constantly learning and improving. Which brings us to decision making, right? With traditional software, it's all pretty black and white based on the logic we put in there.
Totally. Traditional software, it follows this straight path. It gets input and then boom, output. AI agents, though they use much more sophisticated algorithms, they analyze a whole bunch of factors, they predict different outcomes, and then, get this, they choose what they think is the best course of action.
So they're making judgment calls.
Yeah, they can even understand context, like the intent behind something, sometimes even subtle cues to make more nuanced decisions.
Way beyond just like basic if then else stuff. So how about how they talk to other systems? Because it seems like different software programs always have trouble, getting along and sharing info.
That's another difference, integration.
That's right.
Traditional software, it likes to be in its own little world. It's
Yeah.
isolated. Moving data between systems, that can be a whole manual process.
Yeah, a real pain.
But AI agents, they're designed to work across different platforms.
Mhm.
They use these things called APIs, like digital connectors, that let different systems talk to each other. So they can automate entire workflows, stuff that involves multiple different systems, not just little isolated tasks.
So instead of automating one part of a process, they can automate the whole thing.
Exactly. So you've got this inherent ability to make decisions, which means AI agents can tackle much more complex end-to-end processes.
Okay, so what about real-time optimization? How does that work for us in the real world?
With traditional software, you usually need those manual updates to fix things or add features, right?
Right.
But AI agents, they can optimize themselves continuously in real time. They look at the data, learn from feedback, could be from us or just like from how things are going, and then they adjust their own behavior. get more efficient, more effective.
So it's always evolving, always getting better based on what it's seeing and doing.
You got it.
So it's like always in beta.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, to make this really concrete, let's look at some real-world examples. Like you mentioned chatbots earlier.
Sure. So picture a typical chatbot on a website. It's got that script, those FAQs. But if you ask something it doesn't know, it's basically useless. Now imagine an AI agent like Salesforce's Einstein GPT. It could look at your past interactions with the company, understand what you're asking right now, and give you a personalized, helpful response.
So it remembers you. It remembers what you've talked about before.
Yep. It's not just following a script, it's actually understanding.
That makes a huge difference. How about the finance example? You talked about that too.
Right. Traditional financial software, it might give you like a static report that shows you what happened in the past. But an AI agent, something like IBM Watson, it's constantly analyzing all that market data, looking for trends, giving insights that a human might miss.
So it's not just reporting on the past, it's looking ahead to the future.
Yeah, it's looking for opportunities, risks.
I'm starting to see the big picture now.
Yeah.
So how do these AI agents actually work? Like under the hood?
Yeah. We can break it down into 4 main steps. First, there's perception. It's how the agent gets data from the world around it.
So it's taking in information, whether it's physical or digital.
Exactly. It could be sensors like cameras or APIs connecting to other software, or even just streams of data like text. Then the second step is reasoning. The agent takes all that data and makes sense of it.
So that's where the deep learning comes in.
Right. It's using algorithms, deep learning models like, those large language models like GPT-4. And this is how the agent understands the data and figures out what to do to reach its goal. It's kind of like its own internal thinking process.
It's thinking for itself.
Exactly. And then we have action. The agent has reasoned, it's made a decision, now it has to actually do something.
Take action.
Right. It can send an email, change a setting in a program, control a robot, make a trade, whatever it's capable of. And it has to do this smoothly within its environment. And then the fourth step is learning. Super important. The AI agent looked at the results of what it did, takes in feedback. Could be explicit feedback from a user or implicit feedback from the environment, and then it gets better.
So it's this continuous loop of seeing, thinking, doing, learning.
You got it.
And you said machine learning and natural language processing are essential for all this.
Totally. Machine learning gives us the algorithms so the agent can learn from data. And natural language processing lets it understand us, and work with human language. Basically, an AI agent needs 3 things: rational decision-making, the ability to process data, and a clear understanding of its goals.
Okay, so we know what they are, we know how they work, but where are we seeing them in action right now? Let's get specific.
Great point. Let's make it real. Take e-commerce, like Amazon. They have that recommendation system you might also like.
I see those all the time.
Those are AI agents. They look at what you've browsed, what you've bought, and suggest stuff you might want. And it's bringing in a huge chunk of Amazon's revenue.
Wow, so those little suggestions are actually really sophisticated.
Oh, yeah. And it's not just recommendations. Think about those plugins now that help you find products, compare prices on different websites. Those are AI agents, too.
Makes sense. What about customer support? I feel like AI could be really useful there.
It is. Companies are using AI to handle those customer questions, like, password resets, refunds, and they're seeing way fewer support tickets because the AI can handle a lot of it automatically.
So less waiting on hold, talking to a robot voice?
Hopefully, yeah. There's this one company that's doing conversational AI. It integrates across all these different channels like chat, email, whatever, so it's a more seamless experience for the customer.
Okay, so that's e-commerce, customer service. What about healthcare?
Huge potential there. There's an AI that analyzes medical records and research papers to give doctors treatment recommendations.
So it's like a super-powered medical assistant.
Yep. Exactly. And get this, there's an AI agent that's actually better than dermatologists at diagnosing skin cancer.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. And a little bit scary, right? Makes you think about the future of, diagnosis and treatment.
Definitely. How about those self-driving cars like Waymo?
Oh, yeah. Those are using AI agents, too. Not just GPS. They're actually perceiving their surroundings, making decisions about navigation in real time, learning from experience.
So the car itself is kind of like a collection of AI agents.
Yeah, in a way. And then there's the more everyday stuff like recommendations on Netflix and Spotify. Those are AI agents learning your preferences, suggesting stuff you might like.
Makes sense. So we've got shopping, customer service, healthcare, transportation, entertainment. What about more industrial stuff?
There's manufacturing. Those robots on assembly lines doing welding, painting, assembling, a lot of those are AI agents.
Wow.
And in healthcare, again, there's the Da Vinci surgical system. That uses AI to help surgeons with those minimally invasive procedures. So it's not just software in a computer anymore. It's out there in the world interacting with things.
Like a science fiction movie.
I know, right? And how about dynamic pricing? Ever notice how Uber prices go up when it's busy?
Yeah, surge pricing.
That's AI agents adjusting the price based on supply and demand. What about sales and marketing?
There are AI agents that are really good at building those lists of potential customers, leads, much more accurate than like basic keyword searches. And there's AI that helps with SEO, content creation, all that marketing stuff.
Yeah, automating a lot of that. And then you've got agriculture with robots planting seeds, monitoring the fields,
Mhm.
and even crypto trading. AI agents analyzing all that crazy market data to find trends.
It's everywhere, isn't it? So what does all this mean for jobs? Are robots going to take over the world?
That's the big question. There are definitely jobs that are at risk, like customer service reps. If AI can handle those basic questions, you need fewer humans in those call centers.
Right.
And then there's autonomous vehicles. That's a whole industry that could be disrupted. And
Mhm.
paralegals, doing document review, factory workers, doing those repetitive tasks.
So those more routine, task-based jobs are in danger.
Yeah, potentially. Some industries are likely to be hit harder than others. Finance and banking, definitely. A lot of automation happening there. And media and marketing. AI is getting really good at content,
Chemikai
advertising.
and legal services.
So a lot of information-heavy jobs.
Right. But there are jobs that are probably safer, jobs that require those uniquely human skills like empathy, creativity, that kind of thing. Teachers, nurses, artists. Lawyers who need to think strategically, interact with clients. HR specialists dealing with complex people problems.
So those more human-centric jobs are probably safe.
Hmm.
But even then, will those roles change? Yeah, definitely. Take software developers. There's AI that can help write code, even debug. So maybe you need fewer junior developers. But the senior developers, they're going to be focusing on the bigger picture stuff.
So it's not just about replacing jobs, it's about changing them.
Right. And in finance, maybe AI does the data crunching, the reports, and the financial analysts can focus on strategy, advising.
Yeah.
And content creators, maybe AI generates the first draft. But then humans come in and edit, refine, make it really creative.
So we're going to be working with AI, not just replaced by it.
Exactly.
This is all moving so fast. Are there any companies or frameworks that are really pushing this forward?
Oh, yeah. There are a few big players. There's one company, well known for their language models, but they're also doing this cool collaborative AI thing. Then there's Microsoft. They've got frameworks for building autonomous agents. And there's this open source tool that lets developers build their own AI agents. Super powerful stuff. And we've seen examples of AI agents that can prioritize tasks, even act like a software engineer.
It's mind-blowing how quickly this is all happening.
It is.
So what's the main takeaway for our listeners?
AI agents, they're a huge leap forward from traditional software. They're autonomous, adaptable, they learn constantly, they can do things, handle complex situations in ways that old software just can't. This is going to affect pretty much every industry, and it's already changing the job market.
So it's not just about automating tasks, it's about having these agents that can perceive, reason, act, and learn all on their own. They're not just following orders, they're figuring out how to achieve goals. And that's the big difference.
Exactly.
And when you think about how fast all this is moving, you have to wonder what's coming next, what new possibilities, what new challenges, both for our work and for society as a whole. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Definitely does.